Su spoke indifferently. I am Su Shi, merely accompanying a friend to the capital, having no relation whatsoever with the Jiangzhou alliance. I beseech your Highness Prince Yu not to harbor any misunderstandings. Seeing Prince Yu rendered speechless by this gentle retort, the Crown Prince was delighted and seized the opportunity to interject. Indeed, such words are true. Mr. Su is simply Mr. Su, why bring up such distant matters? I have heard that you suffer from a frail constitution and have come to the capital to seek diversion and relaxation. May I inquire which places you have visited thus far? Ah, I accompanied Brother Su on a day's tour of the city, visiting places like Hall of Serene Music, Upper Bazaar, Confucius Temple, and the Pool of Purified Wishes. Yujin answered with an air of innocence. These are all the places you enjoy, the Crown Prince chided Yujin with a reproachful glance. Mr. Su possesses refined tastes, how could he relish such vulgar and clamorous locales? The true splendor of Jinling lies in its outskirts, but alas, most of it is enclosed within the imperial gardens. If you are interested, Mr. Su, please accept this jade pass for entry and exit. Although it may not hold great significance, it shall prove convenient for clearing your path. Although he spoke modestly, when the immaculate white jade seal with its cover was revealed, who among them did not know its significance? Shibi's eyebrows twitched involuntarily, and he couldn't help but glance at Prince Yu. Temporarily at a disadvantage, Prince Yu pursed his lips and watched Su's reaction with cold eyes. The leader of the Jiangzhou alliance casually held the jade token with his fingertips, brought it to his eyes for a brief glance, and a faint smile flickered on his lips as he called out, "Feel you." In the blink of an eye, the handsome and cold-faced youth appeared beside Su. The sight was familiar to the young nobles, but it gave the two princes quite a start. "Here, take this with you. From now on, when you go out to play, you can roam as you please. If any uncles try to capture you again, just show them this token, understand?" "Understood." "Good, now go and have fun." In the blink of an eye, the youth vanished from sight. The Crown Prince stood dumbfounded for a moment, his complexion somewhat unsightly, while Prince Yu wore a secretly amused expression, as if his stomach ached from holding back laughter. This jade token was adorned with the Emperor's Great Seal, a symbol of authority that, apart from the Crown Prince, not even the other princes had been granted. It was an emblem of one's status, and with it, one could command the submission of all officials wherever they went. Yet, despite being presented with such a lavish and prestigious gift, Su had casually handed it over to his own bodyguard to play with. It was difficult to determine whether he was ignorant of the token's true value or simply dismissive of the gesture. Actually, sightseeing can be quite exhausting. The Prince Yu rallied his spirits once more. "Mr. Su, you should prioritize recuperating your health. Coincidentally, I have acquired a rare 1,000-year-old FOT, which is excellent for nourishment. Moreover, there is a medicinal spring in my Lingshan villa. Bathing in it regularly can rejuvenate one's energy and spirit. Even my father, the Emperor, cannot stop praising it. I would like to invite you to stay there for a while, so that we may discuss poetry and prose together, and I may bask in the refined aura of the top scholar." Upon hearing this suggestion, even Jingrui could not help but be moved. Recalling how Su would turn pale and pant for breath with just a little exertion along the way, and how he would often cough half the night away, the 1,000-year-old FOT and Lingshan medicinal spring were undoubtedly difficult to refuse. "You've been so busy lately, hasn't father assigned you several tasks in a row, seeing how capable you are?" The Crown Prince sneered. "Where would you find the time to accompany Mr. Su to the Lingshan villa?" "Your Highness, there's no need to worry. I have already completed the tasks assigned by the Ministry of War and Chisho City, and reported back to father yesterday. I was planning to inform you today. As for the case involving Duke Qingwe, the dispatched envoy has not yet returned, so the trial cannot commence for the time being. These few days happen to be a period of respite, so why not allow me to indulge in some leisure? Prince Yu replied with a smile, his attitude extremely respectful, yet it made the crown prince's teeth itch with hatred. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that this man deserved a beating. If only there were no one around, he could go up and give him a couple of satisfying slaps. Your Highness, I appreciate your kind intentions, Su observed the two brothers, who appeared to be cordial on the surface but were actually like fighting roosters, and slowly bowed in courtesy. However, I have been taking pills specially prescribed for me by the renowned physician, Mr. Sun Jin, and I cannot recklessly add supplements. The 1,000-year-old FOT is a precious treasure, and it should not be wasted. As for the medicinal spring in Lingshan Villa, I'm afraid I must first write a letter to consult with Mr. Sun. If he approves, I will then impose upon your Highness. Upon seeing Su's refusal of Prince Yu's offer, the crown prince felt much more at ease and hurriedly said, "Indeed, one must not be careless in recuperating from an illness. How can one simply consume anything deemed valuable or jump into any water that appears beneficial? If there is no better physician than Mr. Sun Jin in your residence, then please refrain from offering unsolicited advice to Mr. Su." Prince Yu understood that in the presence of the crown prince and himself, Su would not openly express his allegiance to either side. Today's meeting was merely an opportunity for them to size each other up, and the real test of patience would come later. There was no need to be hasty. With that, he laughed heartily and assumed a magnanimous demeanor, saying, "This was my oversight. It's a pity that there is no wine here, otherwise I would certainly have to penalize myself with 3 cups. The crown prince stood up and said, "Jinghuan, Mr. Su is here to watch the martial arts competition today. Let us not impose on him any further. Shall we take our leave?" After some deliberation, Prince Yu thought that although the jade token gifted by the crown prince had been passed on to the guards, Su had still accepted it, and he could not afford to be at a disadvantage. He quickly signaled Shibi. "By the way, Brother Su," Shibi immediately understood and called out, "Haven't you always wanted to pay tribute to the late Master Li Cheng's teaching altar relics? I remember the old master had some manuscripts." "They are in my residence, Prince Yu immediately picked up the conversation. "Master Li Cheng has always been a great scholar whom I deeply respect. I have collected several of his manuscripts. It turns out that Mr. Su is also. Master Li's disciples are all over the world, and Brother Su has also attended his lectures," Shibi chimed in. "What a coincidence," Prince Yu smiled. "We will have even more to discuss in the future." This appeal to Su's interests made even him unable to resist, his eyes flashing as he asked softly, "Which manuscripts are they? Is there unquestionable strategies and discussions?" Yes, Prince Yu exclaimed with delight, "it is in my library. If you wish to see it, please feel free to visit my residence. No one would dare to obstruct your esteemed presence." He did not propose to give away the manuscripts, but only invited Su to come and see them, clearly using them as bait to entice frequent visits. Seeing that the situation was not right, the crown prince became somewhat anxious and hurriedly said, "Jinghuan, you are being too stingy. Aren't they just a few manuscripts? If Mr. Su likes them, just send them over. Why must he come to your house to see them? If you really can't bear to part with them, just name a price for the books, and I'll buy them and give them to Mr. Su." Being provoked in this way, Prince Yu could only say, "I was just afraid that Mr. Su would not accept them. If the gentleman is willing to accept them, I will naturally send them over immediately." Su smiled faintly. "Since these manuscripts are also cherished by Prince Yu, how could I seize Prince Yu's beloved possession? Not at all, not at all. With Mr. Su's current talent and reputation, if Mr. Li were still alive, he would surely regard you as his most proud disciple. It would be most fitting for these manuscripts to fall into Mr. Su's hands, Prince Yu said, pretending to be generous while taking the opportunity to prick the crown prince again. However, I must take the liberty to say one thing. What my royal brother just said was somewhat inappropriate. These manuscripts may not mean much to ordinary people, but to those who respect the old gentleman, they are priceless treasures. When my royal brother mentioned naming a price, I'm afraid Mr. Su might feel upset. The crown prince was immediately choked with anger, but he indeed did not enjoy reading and could not understand the thoughts of these literati. Fearing that he might say something wrong and offend Su for no reason, he could only swallow his anger. Neither of the two had a significant victory or loss in this exchange. Seeing that Su was growing weary in thought, they knew it was not good to linger. After exchanging a few polite words of concern, they left together.